The Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
House File Number 2, a bill for an act relating to employment, creating a family and medical benefit insurance program.
Third reading. Senator Pratt.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I urge you to reject the Conference Committee report today. Despite the number of sessions this bill's been around, it's not ready to be passed. Despite the number of committee hearings this bill has gone through, it isn't ready. Few real changes were accepted throughout the entire committee process. And the few Senate amendments that were adopted were either watered down or stripped out. And one in particular Senator Kroon touched on was an employer that had information a benefit wasn't a legitimate claim. There's not been an actuarial study, so we really don't know what it's going to cost. We don't know what it's going to cost employers. We don't know what it's going to cost employees. Members, I handed out a sheet based on the bill, and in every case, in the first year, except for the best case, the tax rate will go up, and we will spend more in benefits and administrative costs to run the program than we'll collect in premium. Members, it is most likely the assumptions in this bill are wrong and the people of Minnesota are being misled. It's been said that this will cost the average worker $4, a cup of coffee a week. Members, not everybody can afford a $4 cup of coffee. People are living paycheck to paycheck. And how arrogant to say you can afford a $4 cup of coffee. The Democrats have benefits that are taxable. Think about it, members. Just like Social Security that we've been talking about, if you collect on these benefits, the state is going to get its cut. You're getting 60% of your normal wage, and you're going to be taxed. And if you have any question about that, members, it's on page 54. If you listen to the Democrats, it sounds like Republicans only care about business, and that's not true. Republicans care about the employees, and that's why we offered an alternative plan, a thoughtful alternative. We offered an alternative that provided benefits to employees without job-killing mandates. We offered a plan that could be implemented more quickly than this one. We offered small business a tax credit to incent participation. We allowed employees to keep their benefits if they like their benefits. And it was backed by a private insurance company rather than the taxpayers of Minnesota. And members, let's remember who these small business owners are. They're not the rich people living in mansions in one of our more affluent communities. They're our neighbors. You know, during COVID, I talked to one small business owner who very nearly lost his house because he was forced to be shut down and he had to take a second mortgage on his house to keep his business going. He was almost in tears. He plowed everything he had and more into this business. Everything he had and more into the people that worked for him. And he very nearly lost it. So when we flippantly say we don't care about employees, we only care about business, that's not true. Because we care about our neighbors. We care about our neighbors that own their own business on Main Street, and we care about our neighbors who work for those businesses on Main Street. Mr. President, despite how long this bill has been around, this has not been a bipartisan effort. Despite how long this bill has been around, it's not ready to be passed. Last time I read letters from all over the state, from people saying that they were either going to close their business, move their business, and those employees would lose their jobs. If we really care about employees, if we really care about our neighbors, members, we will vote no on final passage of this conference committee report. Thank you.
Senator McQuaid for the final comments before we vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to first just take a second to honor the work that has gone into this bill. Senator Mann has taken so many amendments. Yes, they were used against us today. We took partial wage replacement, carving out seasonal workers, not exceeding total wages with top-offs. This has been an incredibly collaborative process. It's how the democratic process should work. Let's talk about Minnesotans. Let's talk about employees. They're going to be able to care for themselves, care for their loved ones without losing their homes, without not being able to pay their rent. This bill is for every Minnesotan. It is sustainable. It works in the 11 other states that have it, and it is sound, good policy. I'm so honored to be carrying this across the finish line today for Senator Mann, and for all Minnesotans. I urge a green vote, members. This is a good bill, and it's going to be great for Minnesota. Thank you.
The Secretary will take the roll on final passage of House File 2. For those voting under Rule 40.7, Senator Morrison.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Mann votes aye.
Senator Mann votes aye.
Senator Putnam votes aye.
Senator Putnam votes aye.
Senator Rest votes aye.
Senator Rest votes aye.
Senator Wickland votes aye.
Senator Wickland votes aye.
Senator Klein votes aye.
Senator Klein votes aye.
Senator McEwen votes aye.
Senator McEwen votes aye.
Senator Bolden votes aye.
Senator Bolden votes aye.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Murphy votes aye.
Senator Murphy votes aye. Senator Jasinski, those voting under Rule 40.7. When you're ready, sir.
Mr. President,
Senator Jasinski, for those voting under Rule 40.7.
Senator Coleman votes no.
Senator Coleman votes no. All senators having voted?
No,
we
Mr.
got
President,
one more.
we're still waiting on one. Sorry.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Senator Jasinski, for those
Senator-
voting under Rule 40.7.
Senator Rasmussen votes no.
Senator Rasmussen votes no. All senators having voted who desires to vote, the secretary will close the roll. There being 34 ayes and 32 noes, the bill is passed and its title agreed to.